All right, so if we'll have the panel come on up, Tom Payne, Kelly McClellan, Mitch Garlock, Scott Erickson, and Eric Brooks. All right, so thank you for all being here today. And why don't we go ahead and start from Eric. Go ahead and give a quick introduction of yourself before we jump into the topics today.
Sure. I'm Eric Brooks. I am SVP of Wholesale at Frontier Communications. Been there for about going on 8 weeks now, so just transitioned into the role. So here we are, but excited to be here.
Scott Erickson, work at Zayo. I'm responsible for our strategic wholesale customers. I've been at Zayo for about 6 years, and prior to that, about 24 years in some of the level 3 roll-up companies. Held positions in finance, product, and multiple levels of sales for the last 20 years.
Good morning, I'm Mitch Garlock. I'm the Vice President of Wholesale, Wireless, and Channel for FiberLight. I've been with FiberLight about 6 years.
Hi, I'm Kelly McClellan. I'm the Director of Carrier Relations for the Legacy UPN, now Segra UPN. Prior to that, I was with Unity, and it goes back quite a ways from there. I always like to pick up things at the shows, but 60 as the portal to old age is not one I'm going to repeat.
I'm Tom Payne. I'm the VP of Carrier Relations with Unity. Most of my career I've been in, carrier relations, or some of you more gray-haired people may know us as access planning, back in the day. So I've pretty much always either been a buyer, I've done stints in sales engineering and a few other areas, but for the most part I've always bought telecommunication services.
All right, thank you. I think 60's still young.
You're damn right.
All right, so making the wholesale telecom buy-sell process more productive and efficient. I think that's a lot of what we try to do at this show and shows like this throughout. What we'll try to do is just give a little context to where these questions are going to come from. So we thought we'd group the various areas under these 5 headings that you see on the slide. But these bullets could mean different things to different people, so we'll just quickly show a little bit. On the getting needs and requirements right, from a buyer's perspective, clearly defined requirements and specifications to save time and avoid misunderstandings, with a list of items there that you can read. From a seller's perspective, better connect and establish rapport and trust with potential buyers by conducting thorough research, including, and you can see the items on that one. So this was the first major category. The second one was around getting the processes right. From a buyer's point of view, to adopt standardized processes and industry best practices, to simplify the buying, selling process, save time, and achieving revenue more quickly for both sides, as well as leverage technology solutions, automate and streamline various aspects of the buying process to reduce manual errors, speed up the process, and achieve revenue more quickly for both parties. By the way, last year when we did the survey, or was that 2 years ago, Julie? Number 1 issue was achieve revenue more quickly, so we tried to bring those back into the slides. Sellers, efficient and streamlined sales and procurement processes to make it easier to do business with your company. The third category, getting the value right, and courtesy of Tom Payne, do the basics across the board. Sellers, provide competitive pricing and value-added services to deliver the best value solution to your customers. So that's the third general category. We understand that these are somewhat motherhood apple pie and big picture items, but we were trying to just provide some context. The fourth bullet we put under getting the relationships right. For buyers to establish strong, transparent relationships to build trust and continually improve transactions, and for sellers to have transparent communication to build rapport and trust. And the final area was keeping current on industry trends. Buyers make more informed, future-proof decisions, and sellers maintain a trusted connection with your buyers. So, with these 5, oh, I forgot a slide, sorry about that. In summary, what this ended up we're talking about is the buyers, by incorporating these strategies, buyers can create a more efficient and productive wholesale telecom buy-sell process, leading to these 3 areas. And sellers remembering that building strong relationships is key in the wholesale telecom industry, and to invest in these 3 areas. So now, there we go. Actually, can you help me get to the slide with the 5 bullets? There we go. Thank you. All right. So what we want to do is kind of go through there. First of all, Eric, we want to take a look at having this, as a seller, reflecting on the buyer's activities in these 5 areas we've highlighted here. Which one are ones do you think that buyers can be commended on how well they've done the last 12 months? Which one could maybe they work at improving upon, and how might they do that?
I would say something that buyers have done well is they've been very transparent with us. We've worked pretty hard to build consistent relationships so we understand what buyers are looking for. They've been clear and concise. I think that has helped us turn things around quickly, trying to find the right solution for them. We understand their initiatives. I think that the other part of that is, as we're working together in collaboration, I think that's something that they can focus on, which I think all of us are striving for, is to get revenue quicker, right? So I think from that aspect is when we have rate adjustments or things that come through systems, it's getting your system correct so you can see that revenue change when you're able to help, when you're trying to help your buyer out and provide them with things. It's the quicker you can see that revenue, they can get it out to the field, is where you can see it's a win-win for both companies. And so I think that process is the evolutionization of that is really still in process. And so it's something that, as a partnership, that we're striving to work together and collaborate on so we can both increase revenue.
Okay. So let's switch to the buyer side. Kelly, what is it that sellers have done? What's one or one more that the sellers have done really well in the past 12 months, and what's an area that maybe they could be doing a little bit better in general, and how might they do that?
Well, I would say in the last 12 months, obviously, the post-COVID, the delivery intervals have come down, which is huge, so that's been a big improvement. And then the other thing really on this, specific to sales, is more of the advancement and enhancement of portals and APIs for quoting. It's unrealistic to expect us to be able to remember every vendor in every market and who we should be quoting. So having access to those and having companies like ConnectBase and MasterStream that sort of consolidate or aggregate the portals that everybody has is huge, because again, I'm not going to remember to check every single portal. So I think in the last 12 months there's been big advancements that have been able me to feel more confident that we are quoting the right vendors for the right opportunities and not forgetting to quote someone.
And an area maybe sellers could be working on?
I still think that there's a little bit of a gap in just the relationship part, as far as being responsive and following up and being quick to turn around quotes. And I know, sometimes that's a systems issue. It's not the salesperson's fault that they can't get a quote turned around. No, I get it. But that is still a big challenge for us.
So what I heard is the process issues are impacting the relationship issue.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Scott, let's go back to the sales side from the buyer's perspective, from where you sit. What is it the buyers have Where have they done well in the last 12 months, and where maybe could they have improved?
I think where they've done well, and it kind of goes to what Eric was saying about standardization. I think that the buyers have done a lot industry-wide to standardize how we transact business, and they've done that generally through contracts, being able to have standard product definitions, standard technical specs, the same SLAs. So everybody knows what we're talking about when we do, when we're buying a product or a service, and it fosters a lot of transactional business. So I think that's one area that the buyers have really done a lot to standardize, help standardize the industry.
Okay. And
as far as an area where I think we all could improve would be future-proofing our decisions and doing more long-range planning. Often when salespeople get a requirement, it's to solve a very specific incremental need for capacity, augmenting capacity on a backbone, bringing a circuit into an off-net data center for a specific customer application. And rather than looking at it that way, one circuit at a time, I think we'd all be better off if we had the time, both of us, buyers and sellers, to do some long-range planning and look at the big picture and say, well, what is your total embedded base of capacity on that backbone or into that data center? And what are your future requirements for demand going forward? And I think if you look at it that way, it probably drives a completely different solution, one that's going to have a lot more economic benefits to the customer, by optimizing their entire embedded base of capacity, but also, being able to add incremental capital or capacity for a very low incremental cost.
okay. Well, let's go back to the buyer's perspective, Tom. What is it? Which one or ones of these areas do you feel like the sellers have excelled in the past 12 months or can be committed for, and which one maybe could they use a little more work?
Yeah, I struggle with that one. I feel
The
like
first one or the last one?
in some ways both, I guess I would say. We brought it up, I think I made the point we were preparing for this panel of what I was going to say multiple times, as we were kind of talking about the different topics with folks, but I feel like we have just forgotten the basics, and that part is just killing me day after day. Even the big carriers have forgotten how to give people an FOC. Hell, I can't find people that know what FOC stands for anymore, right? When I submit an order, I need a firm commitment of when I'm going to get that thing, and it is a huge impact to my organization when you don't deliver on time. And I blame the biggest carriers for kind of messing the system up. They perverted what the FOC was about and started insisting on one-day FOCs. We don't ever want one-day FOCs, but I need to know when the circuit's coming. If I told you I need it on the 30th of January and I need it on that date, I need to know, you need to tell me at least a few weeks ahead of time, because we've got fewer techs than we've ever had in the field before. I don't have someone that can just go meet you at the drop of a hat. I have to, all the same bureaucracy you go through to try to get my circuit installed, I go through to receive that circuit. And so you've got to give me some sort of an estimate when I'm going to get it. And I feel like we've just completely lost that whole side of it. And I'm talking, it's not just the little guys, it's the biggest carriers, and I'll call them out. It's AT&T. AT&T, one of the few things you used to could depend on them was that you would get an FOC. Now I don't get an FOC on that anymore. We're getting the same day type of FOCs. And it's killing the entire industry. It hurts my relationship, with our customers, I'm trying to deliver in my delivery organizations, that part. And then just documentation. What I will say we've done really well is we've done a great job with some new tools. We get great maps, but how come I can't get them when you deliver the circuit anymore, right? How come I can't get some kind of a test result? When's the last time you got a really nice map and a test result whenever they deliver a circuit? So that's my frustration out of the whole process. Is I think definitely the buyers can do better. Scott, I thought you make the great point. We all need to do better planning. That is a struggle, but Right now, I'm begging everyone in the organization to get back to the basics of what is a firm order commitment, how do I place an order, let me know before it happens that you're going to hand me that circuit, and give me something that says what bay panel jack that circuit landed on, and some kind of a test result.
So Mitch,
Did I hit that?
How do you follow? You know what we really need is a Naval Academy grad to follow Tom up on that one.
Yeah, really.
So Mitch, from a seller's perspective, what do you think the buyers can be commended for, and what's an area they could?
So in the post-COVID world, we've seen the transition towards APIs, like Kelly said. I think they've done a better job of pushing and pulling and dipping APIs to get us the required needs for quotes on the selling side. And I think that's tied to what's going on in the industry. I think, the companies you mentioned, ConnectBase, MasterStream, some of the others, Newstar, I think they're doing a better job of integrating those things today. There's a lot of work to be done still. I think we've got to get people talking, and they've got to break down those barriers of, well, this is my business and this is our business, and we need them working for us. From the selling side, I think what we're doing a better job of today is we're getting back out there. We're sitting in front of people. I've spent the last 7 weeks on the road just seeing customers, and that's new. I mean, we all know that we're going back to offices and we're seeing customers more regularly, and I think that's going to help all these things that we just talked about. The relationship is key. It always has been, and as we talk about APIs, it's still difficult to work that relationship in with the APIs, and that's what we've got to do a better job of.
All right, thanks, Mitch. All right, so from a sales management perspective, I think frequently we get saddled with the challenge of putting the right salesperson in the right sales role and creating brand spanking new opportunities. And so us sellers in the room would love to hear, Kelly, how can a new vendor get your attention to become your vendor? What do you think?
It's not easy. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Carrier relations is notoriously not staffed sufficiently, to do the job that we need to do correctly. I mean, I've heard executives say anybody can sign a service order, and they're 100% right, they can, but signing that service order, but doing all the other things that's required, like making sure that the contract has the SLAs that we need, has the dispute issues, has all the basics in a contract that we want to have, that we need to have, what used to be sort of industry standard, but again, I think like what Tom had spoke to, it seems to have eroded a little bit. So now I spend a lot more time fighting for a standard contract terms, right?
Right.
So when I'm looking at a new vendor, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to do this dance, right? We had a recent example with a potential new vendor, and we were doing the whole red line, the MSA back and forth dance, right? They actually went in and redlined things that had previously been agreed to, right? That's a killer for me, right? Because now I have to go, or have legal go and double check and make sure that we know everything that was changed. I mean, I don't think it was nefarious, it just happened, right? And it's like, stop redlining stuff that isn't the topic, So I do try, though, to make time for new vendors, and obviously the things that I want to hear from a potential vendor is, I'll be responsive with my quotes, I'll listen to your needs. I'll partner with you to solve the hard stuff, because that's what I need in a new vendor. I can buy from, all my existing vendors and pretty much cover what I need. So a new vendor is going to have to do it better, right? Make it easier for me, right? Don't give me the drama of what your network, the problems on your network or the integration that you've had. So you've got part network on this legacy company and part on this legacy company. I don't need to know, I don't want to know that that's all your drama. I mean, I feel for you because everybody's had a lot of that. But, I want to know that you're going to make it easy for me, you're going to listen, you're going to partner with me and be responsive, So it's not easy.
Tom, what would you like to add to that?
There's so much. You can see me, I was biting my lip because, she's hitting all the big keys. One of the things that I don't feel sorry for any of you. I'm so tired of people coming and telling me about their integration and how they're rehabbing and they're upgrading Salesforce. I don't care. That has nothing to do with me. I'm trying to order circuits. I don't care about your excuses. What kills me is, y'all know who my customers are, right? My customers aren't the actual end users. My customers are the salespeople and the engineering teams. That's who I serve. That's who my group serves. And my salespeople don't give a damn, right? All they want to know is, when am I going to be able to deliver this? If y'all know, I actually work for our CTO, but most people know the guy I call my boss is Greg Ortel, the SVP of Wholesale. And that dude's a bastard, right? He wants to be quite blunt, right? He's trying to drive solutions for customers, and he's working with some of the biggest, most demanding customers in the industry. He doesn't want to hear how you're struggling with Salesforce. He wants me to give him an FOC. When am I going to be able to turn this stuff over? He doesn't feel sorry for me or my team at all. And it's the same for the head of engineering and for those people. And when you talk about new vendors coming in, I need the same things we've always needed. How about a map? I can't, in this modern age, I can't believe how many people tell me we don't give maps. Then don't come talk to me. If you don't have a map or a pop list, don't come talk to me. I have nothing to say to you. I can't solve any of my problems without those things. I need maps. I need to understand where your fiber is. I need to know pop lists. I need to know where we connect. Scott hit the key point. How can I set up an NNI if I don't know where your pop is? It's insane. And in this age, to be telling us we can't have a pop list, don't come talk to me if that's what you're going to say. Don't waste my time.
I want everybody to picture for a second the summer of 1989 and a young 18-year-old Tom Payne showing up at West Point to Beast Barracks as a plebe. I'm wondering how well he did that first summer, but that's a different topic.
I apologize.
All right. Scott, from a seller's perspective,
several things.
Feedback on that.
Yeah, several things come to mind. I think you can get a seller's attention in a couple different ways, some of them positive and some of them negative. We'll focus on the positive stuff here. But it starts with a lot of what Tom was saying. It's sales 101. Be available, be assertive, be responsive. Buyers are under a tremendous amount of pressure from internal stakeholders to return information quickly and accurately. The second one I'd say is don't waste their time. When Tom or Kelly reaches out, they're generally trying to solve one of two problems. They're trying to save their company money, or they're trying to accelerate sales and revenue growth. And all of your efforts, messaging, proposals should all be designed to solve one of those two problems. And if they're not, chances are you might just be wasting their time. The other ones that get a little bit deeper, serve as a consultant. Salespeople are in a unique position where they have access, a front row seat to everything that's going on in the marketplace. They see different network trends, product trends. They're exposed to a lot of different commercial strategies that companies are employing across the whole industry, designed to make them more efficient and effective. And salespeople are in a unique position to share those ideas with their customers and see if there's a better way. Are there things that they haven't thought about that might help them achieve some of their objectives? So I think that's super important, and that dovetails into the last one, which is bring creative solutions. Don't just be a quoter. I mean, of course we have to go back and talk to, respond with the information that was requested of us, but that doesn't mean you can't propose a different solution or add on and challenge what's being done, because there might be a better way. And even if the buyer doesn't end up buying what you're suggesting, they're going to appreciate the fact that you're trying, and that you care about their business and you're trying to save them money or accelerate their revenue. And I think when oftentimes those conversations will lead to something bigger and even other opportunities. And those last two bullets there, be a consultant and creative solutions. That, you could do those right, then you start elevating yourself to partner and trusted advisor and really become an extension of your customer's team.
Yeah, can I say something real quick? My best salespeople are the ones that I consider a liaison to the company, right? I know that I can call them if the NOC's having trouble getting a trouble ticket resolved. There are reps that I know that I can contact, and they will jump in and they will move mountains, right, to help get that resolved. So that's the kind of relationship
I want to
that you're
add to
talking
that
about.
too.
Yeah.
You and I talked about this earlier. Salespeople shouldn't just lob in 12, 24, and 36-month quotes. Know your customer. Find what they need. Don't just start throwing stuff against a wall to see if it'll stick. It'll help everybody. It slows down buyers. It slows down sellers. It slows down managers as you're watching deals go through. It's so important to find out what your customer wants and ask questions instead of just throwing stuff against the wall.
Yep. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, a lot has been said, but I would say Tom kind of nailed it when he said get back to the basics. So from the seller side, and when you're building a sales organization, post-COVID, I would say that some of our sales team just got lazy. And I say that in a way, they got comfortable working at home. They didn't get out in front of their customers enough. They didn't understand what their customers were doing, that their business was changing. We lost some proactiveness. We lost some of that intensity around if we're going to spend that time with our customers, it's valuable, and make sure that we have something valuable to give them, that you're not just calling to touch base with them or asking them for orders, that you're actually providing them value, that you're spreading out within the organization to understand key initiatives, what's driving the changes of your potential customers. What are they looking to really accomplish? A lot of times in the wholesale world, some of our reps get comfortable with just taking orders and just, you have our rates, and it's just really basic, versus spending that extra time getting the executive teams involved and going to understand, well, they have a totally different initiative and they're focused in other areas. Let's shift our mindset to go help them with that problem and solve that problem. So I think it's part of that. It's just getting back to those basic, like you said, but doing the little things that can provide your customers value. And that's how you stack your way up to what you're saying as the trusted advisor, somebody that our customers can count on if they need something. You want to be top of mind on that speed dial, right? You want to be, hey, I know this person's going to get back to me quickly. They're going to give me details. They're going to give me maps. Sounds basic, but yes, you're right. They're going to give me the information that I'm looking for. So it's kind of, a couple on what Scott says. I think that sounds simple enough, but it's just not being executed at a high level today. It needs to get better.
And if I could hit the one thing, because this is one thing that, I think FiberLight and Zayo, which they are trusted advisors, we're putting this panel together. We're talking about who are great salespeople, who run the type of salespeople we're talking about, and these are two of them. These are the ones, they bring in good reps that understand the business. And this again sounds funny, but it's back to basics. It seems like in the last 2 or 3 years, worse than ever before, there's more salespeople that don't know the basics of our business, that think it's the sales engineer's job. Oh, you said a 3-letter acronym, OSP, ISP, FDP. That's something the SE handles. Right. I know these two guys I've dealt with a lot. They don't need an SE to go with them whenever they go to meet with customers. If you're sending a sales rep out to meet with Kelly, or I know that, if they don't know the difference between OSP and ISP, if they don't know why I might need to set an FDP somewhere, please don't send that idiot out to business. It's a huge waste of all of our time, and I don't want to train your sales reps. And I think it's worse now than I think it's ever been. We've always had guys that just say, they started off as an SC, they don't want to stay, they don't want to break down an Ethernet header anymore, right, and work on that stuff. But you've got to understand the basics of our business. I feel like we've lost the thing of investing in a lot of the new employees and training them. And a lot of it's depended on the Nortels, the Siennas, some of our vendors to take people and send them to school and train them on things. But this latest crop is some of the least informed groups I've ever seen. And I think we've got to invest.
What we've done to change that is, your rep, you don't have to worry about that, right?
That's exactly right.
But we have other people that aren't Tom Payne that we have to sell to. So we've started a 4-legged sales call. Back old school. Go back to the way we used to do it. We always sent a sales engineer with a sales guy when I started 30 years ago. And that's why I'm technical now. So I'm back to doing that with my sales teams.
Well, the interesting thing is, you say maybe some of that vendor training is gone, but I don't know about the rest of you, one thing I learned in COVID, that YouTube, those podcasts, I mean, there's a lot of information out there that's free if somebody wants it. I mean, I guess the message to salespeople that you're hearing from the buyer is educate yourself, and there's a wealth of information just a click away, right?
If we don't do it, look around the room. We talked about a 60-year-old leading us off today. Look around this room. Yeah. There's not a lot of young people here. We're going to have to change that at some point. Yeah. We're going to have to.
All right, and part of the reason is because no one came into the industry for about 10 years, right? Right after the dot-com bust and, the telecom nuclear winter that happened, right? No one came in anymore. So there was a 10, 15-year gap of talent coming in. So we have an education job to do. People who've been around long have to educate those guys. It's not their fault, right?
I don't know about y'all, but I learned a lot. Like Nortel sent me to school, right?
Yeah,
they would actually train us on that stuff. And Lucent, I went to Lucent classes. Sienna doesn't do, they'll bring a pop trailer by every once in a while and they'll, talk to you, but they don't do the levels of stuff that the old vendors used to do and invest in us. And, Scott and I have talked about, there used to be a lot more effort in, you had product teams that were really knowledgeable and knew things, and those seem to have gone away now. We don't have those strong product management people that, come in and talk to you about these things, and I think that was
just one of those roles that has went away for the most part.
You just don't see them like you used to, and even again we took so much of our guidance from Verizon and AT&T and Frontier. The big ILECs drove our industry for so long, and they're not in the driver's seat anymore, not like they were, and so that has repercussions throughout the entire industry, I think.
So Tom, let's transition from the people side to the product side. From a buyer's perspective, what product do you need that you just can't buy right now or what products would you like to buy you're struggling to buy?
Well, colo continues to be a challenge in having good, clean understanding of what services are being provided in colo. I think that colo is hot. There are a lot of the big colo vendors, but colo vendors are more fractured than the transport vendors. When transport vendors had to buy, when two different companies had to do stuff, they had to work. They all either had to be MEF compliant or you had to be, G.709 compliant if you're doing some kind of waves. There were industry standards. Colo doesn't work that way. And the funny thing is the colo vendors don't even realize how strange their products are. Like DRT doesn't realize they don't really do it like Equinix does. They don't do it anything like what it is, but they think they do the same business, which is Flexential doesn't realize what they do that's different than DC blocks. And it drives me crazy because they're not consistent with what they mean when they say cross-connect and interconnect and what they mean, what my power options are and how those things are set out. And then the other one, I'll just tell you all, you're driving me insane with the no 400 gig documentation. You're all starting to talk to me and quote me 400 gig. Not one of you has a contract exhibit that explains what you're doing with 400 gig. But my salespeople say I've got to give them one because the biggest customers that are buying want that and the government wants that. So I need the details for all these things you bring me. I need a contract because my salespeople, the people I'm serving, want me to provide it to them. I need the specifications around it all. And I can't get a 400 gig amendment from anyone so far, but I've got to have that for us to execute what's called a contract.
I'll get that to you tomorrow, Tom.
Appreciate that.
And it's not 400 gigs, right?
It's not 400.
Why not close the business today?
That's right.
Yeah. How about you, Kelly?
I wish I got this question first because I think I would have said almost the same thing as Tom, is the co-location. In my world, and it's not just the big carriers that aren't consistent, it seems like in the last, 5 or 10 years, all of a sudden colo is sexy, right? So all these people who are not telecom people are getting into co-location and offering co-location that don't know the first thing about how you want to do it, refuse to be reasonable on negotiating contract terms, all those types of things. So that's the biggest challenge right now for me, is absolutely co-location with what I would consider non-traditional colo providers.
Well, let's give Tom and Kelly a break for a second here. So Eric, from a seller perspective, what product or service do you feel buyers just aren't really taking advantage of that they should?
Well, good news is we don't sell co-location.
You'd help me out if you would. I'd love some of those COs. You know?
I know what you're looking for now, so at least I can do that. I would say from our perspective, we're really focused on broadband as a service and getting customers broadband who are using SD-WAN, and really focused on getting that knowledge out to our customer base and delivering it in areas and as the provider, growing areas in which we can expand to, that we can sell to our customers. I would say that that's one aspect. I would say the other aspect is for the right customer, expanding metro waves. Just for us in particular, we haven't done a great job of selling customers metro waves in our own markets, and I think that has a lot to do with some of we're making some of those changes, but it's from a product standpoint, it's something that we can really attack with the marketplace and give our customers additional opportunity that are looking for waves where in the past we haven't. And the last, I would say one more thing is, for the right customers, there's a potential from a fiber perspective. There's opportunity for us to look at selling fiber to the right customers and getting that knowledge out there to where maybe from a Frontier perspective, just being particular, we hadn't done that in the past. So there's things that we're really focused on and trying to make some changes on, that we want to get that information out to our customers, which falls in line with our last topic, right, of sales reps being proactive, having a good plan, making sure that we're demonstrating the details for our customers so they understand truly what our offering is, to get to your point of being clear and concise so you know what you're actually getting and how that operates. So those are really our focus. So.
How about you, Mitch?
I gotta hit it on that, because you just reminded me that it's so funny, because I guarantee you guys would never show up to meeting with a company and not know anything about the organization. If you saw how many times people come in to meet with us and they don't even know who our CEO is, they don't understand like what states, like they'll be, oh, I didn't know you were in Louisiana. What are you talking about? Why would you even come see me then, right? How can you not know that, who's sending these reps that don't even read the website? It's all on our website. At least read it and know who these people are. And it's just shocking, but you're right.
Mitch and I were talking before the panel. I said I feel kind of silly coming up here and saying things that I feel like everybody should know. What I need is nothing unique, right? I don't need anything special. I just need the basics.
All right, the basics.
All right, Mitch.
Sorry.
I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum from Eric. We don't do broadband. So for me, it's ask about 100 gigs and 400 gigs and dark fiber. Those are the three things that we don't see a lot of requests from buyers on. I don't think the sales teams are upselling bandwidth. I think they're happy selling a 500 gig or 500 meg or a 1 gig, and 10 gigs, 100 gigs, 400 gigs. The price compaction in those has been astronomical in the last 2 years. And the hardware has went down, it's ready available. It's just have people deployed it on their network all the way across their network. Luckily for us, we've been able to do that. So,
all right. Anything you want to add, Scott?
At risk of stepping on a landmine, Tom, I would say 400 gig waves is, really, they're starting to take off, but we're still really early in the life cycle. And they just hold a ton of different advantages over 100 gigs. They're more scalable. It's easier to manage capacity over a larger circuit, avoiding lag bundles. Network simplicity in terms of managing fewer number of circuits, and then there's economic benefits. And the one thing that I think you'll appreciate, Tom, is that not only do you get a volume discount because you're buying a bigger circuit, but if you're handing these things off in data centers, you're reducing your number of cross connects on a 4-to-1 basis, and that is becoming incredibly expensive.
Incredibly
crazy expensive.
Yeah, that's. So I got to bounce off that, because that's exactly right. Anymore, I can get 100 gig pricing at $2,000, all over. If you come in with anything over $3,000, don't bother. I've got another
too
option.
cheap to you, Tom.
Well, my salespeople don't seem to think so, because all they tell me is all my prices are too high. And so when we're buying from people, but a cross connect is only going up. Cross connects are not going down. The average price on a cross connect is $350, and it's moving up. I have a vendor that I'm trying like heck to get, see, I'm trying not to swear, I'm trying like heck to get out of my network, because they have just decided they're going to 450 for all cross connects. Just didn't give me any warning. They're just going to go to 450, and that's what they're going to do. And that's got to go away. So think about what percentage. The little bitty cross connect in the days when I was buying OC48s, that used to be 5-10% of the circuit. Cross connects are 25% the cost of my circuits now. They're killing me. So I need 400 gigs so I can combine and get rid of. Used to be I would try to merge bandwidth to get bigger bandwidth. Now I'm merging it to get fewer cross connects. That's where my big savings are.
Wow.
Crazy.
All right. So Tom, we're gonna head over to customer service. So I'll let everybody answer Tom. What's Tom gonna say is the biggest thing that everybody could do for customer service?
All
right, go ahead, Tom.
So, it's the basics, it's coming back. It is, of course, the basics. But the other one, to hop to another one we haven't talked about that is not cool and that people don't talk about, but that we live in, is right now one of the biggest challenges I have is not getting an FOC, but it's also not getting good bills anymore and getting timely and accurate bills. I am always amazed with my finance people when I talk about them. Billing is killing me these days. The bills are worse than they've been in years. And so I think part of it's I can't figure it out, but I expect my rep to be able to cover all pieces of it. And so one of the things I often do ask reps whenever they come in to meet with me is, bring me a copy of my bill.
So,
let's talk about
what part of the bill is not right? When you're saying the billing isn't right could mean a lot of things to different people. So could you be more specific about?
Sure. So one, it's always the information, right? So I will say Zayo probably has the best bill in the industry. It is.
I would agree.
It is a fantastic bill, and I actually keep a copy of the Zayo bill that I show to people and say, this is what I want. This is how it should look. But start dates are always wrong now because they don't give good FOCs, they don't announce it. So now I have to kick off a dispute to get the start date corrected because it's now never right. And we've lost the ability to do good pro rata on it. When I do that change, I know there's going to be a second dispute because you don't know how to calculate the change in the date correctly so that it bills correctly. So my telco cost team is recovering over $1 million this year. That's not a good thing. That's just billing errors from people not able to get their dates right.
So start dates, what are some other examples of billing errors that are just
wrong product
getting in your craw?
Wrong product all the time. Yeah, people that know how to do billing, they just bill the wrong product at the wrong amounts, extra fees and charges that aren't allowed. Sometimes, I tend to believe that most companies don't steal. Some people say, oh, they're stealing from us. Most companies want to behave in good and ethical ways. That is just true. But the people in the billing section don't know how to do it. And it ties back to that not having good product people, I think, that the products aren't being clearly defined in the processes. So they're not getting those, they don't know what my contract says. They don't know what fees I'm supposed to pay.
I think our businesses have verticalized, right? Billing is a vertical that doesn't really see what everybody else is doing.
You're exactly right.
Mainly because we're not in the office.
Because I'm surprised how many sales reps now go, I don't know, I haven't seen the bill in forever.
Invoice. Right.
Yeah, I
hear that.
Kelly, what would you add to the question about what changes to customer service would you like to see?
I agree with the billing issues, and I love me a Zayo invoice. That's absolutely true.
Add props.
And really, as far as the invoice goes, it's just the basic information's on the bill, right? The ALOC, the ZLOC, the bandwidth. You'd be shocked, and I hope appalled at the number of invoices that we process that just don't have any information at all. I get colo invoices and they don't give me the address of where the co-location is.
That's exactly right. They're the worst.
How do you not put that on the bill? So it's very difficult. But I think just from a customer service standpoint, it's all the things that we've been talking about. Just the basics. Be responsive.
Okay.
Listen. Don't try to sell me what you want to sell me. listen
Really,
to what I need.
the portals too,
you
right,
know.
Kel? The portals are, just, I got to throw these numbers out, just make sure you know. I have 270 regular vendors that we buy from at Unity. I stopped counting at 120 portals that people want me to go into. God help me, 9 of them are AT&T. AT&T wants me to be in 9 different portals. But there's no way, in my team, most of you can't remember how to get into Google, right? Whenever YouTube wants you to use a username and password, you freak out. Think about my team and trying to keep track of hundreds of portals and what they want us to go into. The portal craziness has got to stop. You can't, and the smaller the company, the more excited, and they just come in so happy that, well, we've got a portal, and they can't, when my jaw drops and I go, get out, get out.
Get out.
You know,
All right,
Yeah.
Scott, what feedback you got from the seller side?
Tell the recruiters not to call Zayo.
Well, I think we all wish we had unlimited human capital and resources to be able to allocate to our customers. But the fact is that there's ever increasing pressure on pricing and margins. So what we need to do is figure out how to automate, right? And to get you access to the information in our company where you don't even need to call anybody, right? And we talked a little bit about APIs here, and I think they've come a long way. They started out as quoting. Now you can actually place an order, which might help your billing issues, right? I mean, because you're picking your own products, and that's going to go right into our systems. You can now submit trouble tickets and get statuses on delivery and assurance issues, as well as pull general information out. So, I think that the answer is that we as an industry need to become more efficient and effective and avoid the human interaction altogether. I mean, obviously you're always going to have some, but the more we can put that information in your hands so you don't even need to call anybody and you're getting it real time, it's going to make you happier and I think be an overall better customer experience.
Well, there's no standard on it either, right? You do it different, I do it different. I mean, it's
Exactly.
just-
That's right.
That would help if we could figure out a standard of how it should look.
Eric?
Well, I think we beat the billing thing down a little bit, but I would kind of take a different spin on it. I would look at customer service from the sales perspective as, take quarterly business reviews as an example, right? Back to the basics of organization, preparation, making sure that when we go see our customers for quarterly business reviews, we're not wasting their time, right? We've pulled all their trouble tickets, we've pulled the mean time to repair and that stuff, we've pulled their billing issues, troubles to try to proactively say, look, we recognize that there's issues and disputes that we have to address. Going through all of those steps to understand, are we doing a good job for our customer? Are we not? Allows them to become a stronger partner. The relationship gets stronger. And it also allows you from a seller standpoint, which seems simple enough to me, that if you do those things appropriately, it also leads to more business, right? It leads to having those conversations in those same QBR about strategic initiatives and bigger projects that you want to focus on. So it really is the nuts and bolts of what you should be doing on a sales side to provide your customer with those informations. And I think that we've gotten to a place where our customers sometimes don't like to have QBRs because it's a waste of their time, because it's not prepared well enough if they don't do a well enough job. So I've had instances where they're like, well, we're going to push that off until maybe we have more business with you. That's a bad answer, because either something's not going right or you're not doing a good enough job on the sales side to want the customer to have that QBR with you. So I think those are things that from a sales standpoint that we work on every day to try to get better and prepare better so we don't, we create more value for the relationship on that standpoint. So I kind of take a different spin on how
No,
that
I 100% agree. QBRs are huge, and I have a very, very small percentage of my vendors that actually do that, right? That self-scorecard. So that puts the onus on me to pull the data and do the scorecarding so that I have the information. When I'm making a vendor selection, that's one of the things I look at, right? It's not just about the price. I know you people think it probably is, but it's not. It's not just
We're going to
about
give
the
you a
price.
chance to answer that question in just a second. But I mean, you talk about how many of those people that are doing quarterly business reviews are sitting down with you and jointly agreeing on what your rocks or goals are for the next 90 days prior to the next
ones
quarter.
that are doing it, they're doing it
doing
right.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't get QBRs from requests to, or the information provided on a regular basis for most of my vendors.
Mitch, what would you like to add to this before we go to the last?
I'm going to hit on what Eric said about QBRs. I just did my first QBR that I've done post-COVID this month. I was in Denver. It was a wireless MNO, and it was refreshing to have everybody in the office. I brought the sales engineer, I brought the customer service rep with us, the sales rep and myself, and it was like old times. It was great. We found new business. We discovered where we were good, where we were bad, things to work on. As we draw back to offices, QBRs are beginning to become more of a regular thing.
Right.
But it's got to be a real QBR.
Agreed.
I promise you, the person that turned it down, I believe, thought you were baiting and switching them, because I definitely have sat down for what I thought was a QBR, and it just, all they wanted to know was what I'm going to buy this month, what I'm going to buy next month. They don't want to talk about the not fun parts.
You're right. It's being ill-prepared or just showing up to ask for more business. You can't do that. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't create a partnership, and that was kind of where I was getting at.
But Tom, we need metrics from you too. We need to know what's going on in your network with us as well.
And that's right. And you would be right to insist on better. If you show up prepared, we should be prepared to explain it. And I would be embarrassed if we didn't do something like that. But most of the time when somebody says QBR, and again, you two guys in particular know how to do a real QBR, but there's a lot of people that to them just means they come in and they want me to tell them a whole bunch of stuff, and they have not even looked at my bills.
Well, we're getting near the end of the hour, and so the one question we wanted to make sure we ask, we'll start with you, Kelly. Ultimately, how do you decide on who to buy from when the need arises? Do you use any software platforms to help? What makes a good vendor? Conversely, what makes a bad vendor?
Yeah, we've got 6.5 minutes, and I could do like 20 on that. And Tom could do like the day.
I was trying to get this question 9 minutes ago. I couldn't find a path.
No, I totally understand. Yeah, we do use Connect Base and MasterStream. You almost have to be able to feel confident that you're covering the bases as far as quoting everyone that you need to be quoting. But it's not just about the price. It's about who do I feel like is going to be able to turn up the service in a timely fashion. If I give them a CRDD, that they're going to take it seriously and give me a FOC date that's reasonable and in line with that, right? And it's also on the NOC side. I mean, carrier relations, we spend a lot of our time supporting the NOC and trouble tickets. We review all the vendor trouble tickets. We follow up with vendors on trouble ticket issues, right? So the support after the service is a huge piece of how we decide who we want to buy from,
What are some of the most common trouble ticket issues that you're coming across?
Well, I mean, fiber cuts, and you can't do much about a fiber cut, right? It is life, right? It's just going to be that way. But it's not so much that the fiber gets cut and needs to be restored. It's how the vendor addresses that, right. How responsive they are. Do they just point the NOC at a portal and say, go do here, the AT&T portal for trouble tickets? I could just kill them. It's brutal,
I want to add to that for Kelly.
Go ahead.
We've seen fiber cuts in Texas alone. This is our core network, just astronomical because of all the construction. We've actually hired route riders that all they do is drive our route. And if they see construction, they stop and they stand there and go, hey guys, our fiber's right here. I know that sounds really crazy, but it's reduced our fiber cuts. And now we're starting to integrate them into doing maintenance, checking out vaults, doing those kind of things. But I hope it's going to help.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom?
Well, I'll just piggyback off of that is just, fiber cuts, of course they're going to happen. That's what it is. But it's what happens when it goes, and then will you let me open a ticket with your NOC? And, I sometimes jokingly say I fire a rep. Obviously, I can't fire my reps, right? They've got assigned accounts and they come down. But what will absolutely make me escalate all the way to the president of the company is if you got a sales rep that won't take my call or doesn't take my call seriously when I call you with an outage, because there are times when vendors won't open a ticket for an outage because they need a circuit ID, and that's completely reasonable. Carrier relations will never fight you if you say, we should be able to provide a circuit ID. But if I give you what I have as a circuit ID and your NOC says, I don't know what that is, you gotta help a brother out, right? Somebody's gotta come in because we've got a major breakdown. And you think that would never happen. Sometimes it happens because you acquired an old company and you did some big migration of circuit IDs, but you didn't tell me. And again, to bring it all back around, when we are loading our information into the databases, where do we get most of our circuit IDs? Because you give us a crap closeout package that doesn't have the circuit ID for the circuit, I put what's on the bill. And you won't believe how many times what's on the bill, your NOC doesn't even know what the heck that is. And so you've got to pick up the phone and take my call, and it's on you to help me solve that. And if I ever have a sales rep that doesn't completely commit to helping me, whenever we've got an outage, I will do everything I can to make sure you're never on my account again. I can't have
For
it.
all you new reps,
Or
don't
not
give
mine.
Tom your cell phone. He'll call you. He does not speak.
How about you, Scott?
And the other side is you won't buy from them.
No.
right? So poor performance on the backside prevents sales on the front side. That's, yeah.
Yeah, totally agree with what you guys are saying. It's table stakes, assurance and delivery. One of the things that I would point out, though, is that, a buyer should want to look at a company as a partner who is continually investing in their network and their products, right? I mean, you guys invest a lot of time, money, and effort in establishing these relationships. They essentially become an extension of your company, and you're going to want someone that you can grow with and who's going to be able to meet your needs into the future. And then the other one I would say is that you're going to want someone who's committed to the wholesale marketplace for the long run, because changes in strategies can become very painful.
Sure. Yep. Eric?
Yeah, and I think we kind of hit on that here, but from the sales side, I agree that, it just goes back to that same thing of being important. The wholesale business is, here to stay, and there's a lot of compression that's happening in the marketplace. And from a sales perspective, if you don't do the little things, which are the details that are not just selling and making, getting sales across the finish line, it's taking care of your customer, it's answering their calls, whether it's at night or on the weekends because they're having a major problem. To Scott's point, we are an extension of your guys' network and your business. And that comes with the territory of a sales role. That is your job and that is the focus. It's not really a 9-to-5 job. You're supposed to be able to take care of your customers when they're in need. And I think sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle, and so we're always as leaders striving to make sure that we've got the right people that understand that prepare, and if they can't handle it, that we have resources in place to help them out and support them, which is not a perfect science, but at the same time, that should be the goal, driving towards making sure that your customer is satisfied with the support that they're receiving. So.
Okay.
Well said.
You had your hand up at least 3 times, and I've been trying to get through stuff. Did we address whatever you had your hand up on before, or is there something you'd like to say real quick?
I wanted to hit Tom's. Hold on, here we go. There you go. I want to hit Tom's issue.
Wants to hit Tom.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Tom's issue
That was my takeaway.
on FOC dates, because I think that if you get a FOC before design, it's not worth it.
That's exactly right.
So
Right.
tell me if this time frame works. 3 business days order confirmation. Can you wait 5 to 7 business days on DLR and then 10 business days on FOC? So when you get a FOC in 2 weeks from the date of order, at least it's reliable.
Yeah.
Does that kind of time frame
Yes,
work for you?
but what happened, of course it does. So, I mean, part of it depends on what the service is, right? So, but yes, the problem is the biggest carriers in the industry went crazy and started insisting on same day or 1 day turnaround of FOX and design. And so I think
It's
that's what.
unreliable if you do that.
It's not
worth
reasonable.
anything.
I won't. First time when somebody says that they're going to do that in the contract, I actually challenge that. I say, how can you do that? Put something in here that's reasonable, but really give me a FOX. Because what we did was when they removed the FOX, they ended up then killing my credits, because I would rather have credits for missing my FOC, because if I give you that, you give me credits.
One other comment on the kids not coming in the industry. I think the kids now look at layers 1 to 4 as plumbing. They don't want to be plumbers. They want to work on the app level. The other thing is, when you worked at Nokia decades ago, they were willing to send you to training because they figured, I'm going to get 5 years out of this guy. I talk to kids now, the minute they get their first job, like, I'm looking to leave in a year, because they're in a gig economy. So
All right.
it's a challenge to train them.
So how about a round of applause for our panel today? Thank you very much for everything, and we're out of time.
Thank you.